Isabel Quintero, author of Gabby, A Girl in Pieces, published by Cinco Punto Press, and this year's recipient of the William C. Morris Award. Aspiring poet Gabby Hernandez is having a complicated senior year. One of her best friends is pregnant, the other just came out. Even as her mother worries that she will become a bad girl, Gabby adds romance and the quest for college to her already full plate. Isabel?
To quote someone very dear to me, shit.
Oh, no, I didn't say that.
So I'm very excited to be here. I'm going to start off because, like Gabby, I write poetry. This is not my poem, but I thought it would be in the spirit of this idea of diversity, and this idea of bringing different American voices. And because it was his birthday yesterday, I'm going to read I Too Sing America by Langston Hughes to start off. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody will dare say to me, eat in the kitchen, then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. A few months back, I was asked a question that made me a bit uncomfortable. It was during an interview. And being socially awkward and a writer, which often seems to go hand in hand, I needed a bit of time to respond because, like Gabby, I'm really, really bad at comebacks. I was asked, because your parents are laborers, did it come as a surprise that you're an intellectual? I stumbled, said something like, I don't consider myself an intellectual, then unsuccessfully tried to explain that one thing doesn't necessarily negate the other. Here's the thing though, that idea that because my parents don't have an academic education often leads to the assumption that they are not thinkers, and therefore their children couldn't be thinkers, and that kind of pissed me off. Because this perception of the Latino, the Mexican American, as having a single narrative, usually being a poor immigrant, farm worker, or being a housekeeper, always passive and always absent of critical thought or self-awareness, has become so ubiquitous that we've mistaken it for fact. Certainly, many of my college students, I teach composition, certainly many of my college students believe that, and at some point, I believed it. In grad school, I had a total of one Latina professor, and she was my only professor who was a professor of color. Our absence made me question whether I belonged or whether I was just fooling myself into believing that the daughter of Mexican laborers had earned her place alongside other students who obviously did belong. I see my students, friends, and family struggle with the same issue of belonging or accepting the fact that they too can be intellectuals. I sat in mass once and listened to the priest reinforce the archetype of the dumb Mexican to his congregation of mostly Mexicans. He was also Mexican. Of mostly Mexicans and Mexican Americans. He explained how we needed to be more like los americanos que sabían pensar, like the Americans, meaning whites, because they know how to think, not like us. That was the last time I went to Mass. So I think of these things, of where we've been allowed to exist and in what language, and I think Gabby was really trying to question all of that. I was trying to question all of that. I think about my mom, who as a child in Mexico worked in the fields and as a teen in a sweatshop for an American factory. And then when she came to the United States, in the convalescent home kitchen. I think about my dad who left his poverty-stricken ejido to work on RVs in the US for $4 an hour, hoping each week that immigration wouldn't show up on Fridays. I think of how they worked to make sure their children had a different life. I think about my mom reading to me and my dad helping me with my class projects. I think about the racism my parents and their children excuse me, have had to face at the hands of law enforcement, educators, employers, colleagues, and classmates. I think about fat girls, pregnant girls, and gay teens. I think about poverty and being the ones that move out the food basket at Christmas time. I think a lot because the only option for the daughter of laborers is to think, because that's all her parents have taught her to do. So I wrote Gabby, A Girl in Pieces, because of all of that thinking. I wanted to present a different narrative of what it means to be an American, not only what it means to be a Latina, because I knew there were many people who could relate to Gabby's story, who would see themselves in her, and I was right. The best part of this journey has been hearing people say that they finally see themselves, their friends, their family, and their experiences reflected in a book. That they've never, that they've had the same experiences as Gabby and her friends have. That has really been the best part of this journey. I want to thank Cinco Puntos for believing in Gabby, Lee, John, Bobby, Jessica, Amber, and Mary, who've been amazing. And in reality, without Lee's edits, I doubt I'd be in Chicago in the snow right now. Gracias to my mom and dad and my brother, who are not here, but I carry them everywhere. To my husband, who couldn't be here either, but who is my parachute and my landing. I'd really be lost without him. To my Poetry IE family, there are, Len mentioned, writing is a solitary thing. It is, but it really helps when you have a community of people who are doing this solitary thing together. So they're my creative writing group, who've really made me a better writer. Thank you to all the readers who have embraced Gabby, and to all the badass librarians who've been so supportive. Lastly, to the Morris Committee and to YALSA, thank you for making Gabby a finalist alongside Len, Leslie, EK, and Jesse, and for helping spread her voice a little bit further. It is an honor and a privilege to be here. I guess that was to be expected, given who my parents are.